I'm not a weirdo. I was drunk. And until you've had the night I had, somehow spam texting the most gay emoji to your boyfriend while shouting, "Tequila and red wine is so a cocktail." Until you've been there, I ask you not to judge. If you have been there, you'll know that my boyfriend became my ex-boyfriend that night. You'll know that neither he nor I are Muslim, and that the moskeh is in the blurry vicinity of the hospital emoji. You'll know that tequila and red wine is not a cocktail, and most importantly, you'll know that at 3 in the morning, drunk as Saharan bottled water, sushi is sushi. I wouldn't have remembered any of the gas station or its dubious offerings, except that I thought I saw the guy who played Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies. I tried to play amateur paparazzo, and I left the video on record after my phone went back in my pocket. The important folks are me, my friend and roommate Benjamin, and a very accommodating cashier that I'm just gonna call Leaf.
His hair is white because that's an old man, idiot.
No, that's such a Slytherin thing. To be.
He's got a walker!
No, he's a walker on his hands.
Yeah, see? Old man! Not Malfoy.
But Broom, you're jealous. You get the idea. I had forced myself into a subhuman hole of obnoxious intoxication, and I had found my AARP wizard bad boy. I was certain of that. He was my boozy tinfoil treasure, my distraction from the crown jewel of my tire fire evening. Oh, yes! Sushi!
Gross. This is an Exxon.
7-Eleven is good sushi, dude.
100% it doesn't. And this is an Exxon station.
I picked it up. Now, in hindsight, I understand Ben's consternation. He was being a friend. I was repaying him by being that intolerable child at the grocery store whose parents quietly pretend it's a ward of the produce aisle. Not a great look. Of course, I had zero capacity for that sort of self-reflection in that moment, so I soldiered on with my dream of eating and not getting botulism. The packaging was simple. Sushi connection. Happy chase roll. I found it later on in my apartment, and that's all it said. No ingredients, no graphics, no barcode. Just black plastic, clear plastic, and a Sharpied stick-on label. But I wasn't some deputized food inspector. I was drunk and hungry.
It's not even refrigerated. If you eat that, you're totally gonna die.
It's in a restaurant. It's fine.
This isn't... Hey, you work here. Would you eat this sushi?
I mean...
Dude, not even... Wait. Your name tag. Is your name actually Buckminster?
No.
Okay, well, not Buckminster wouldn't eat it. And he seems... normal-ish. I guess. The normal thing is not to eat the sketch sushi. Okay?
How much, Buckblender?
It's, free.
What?
Sweet. Arigato.
Damn it.
Ben was wrong. I ate it. I didn't die. But I didn't stay drunk for long after my happy chase roll burrowed its way down into my gastrointestinal ripcord and yanked. Please understand, I've been sick before. I've had stomach bugs, food poisoning, and a few particularly vicious hangovers. This was more like the contents of my stomach were fleeing the neighborhood because a family of knives moved in next door. It was agonizing. It was agonizing, disgusting in a way that the word slurry seems fitting to describe the end results. I slept on a bath mat that night. But when I woke up, I was fine. No, better than fine. Great. Fan-friggin-tastic, maybe. 3 voicemails from Steve, my un-Muslim, un-boyfriend. I didn't care. The worry of what I might have said at the bar and what I definitely said before seemed insubstantial, distant in a way, like the memory of an anxious exam dream after waking up to find yourself graduated in 30-something. I smelled not great, and the hard tile and terry cloth that had been my bed left a physical impression on my joints, but I felt, I don't know, light, happy. It wasn't a typical morning for me, and not just because I had played Big Spoon to a toilet all night. I suffer from anxiety. Not the kind that leads me to being unemployable, but the kind that paints my mornings with a film of hyperventilation and stomach-twisting dread. It usually passes in time, but between the heart palpitations and the spiraling agenda of ever-worsening concocted sequences, it's pretty draining. The day after the sushi, the first thing I thought about was brushing my teeth and washing off my night in a hot shower. So normal. Ben seemed surprised to see me awake and making breakfast at what I realized was 10 a.m. I'd been whistling, and the NPR program playing through a speaker, the one about a suicide bombing followed by some tax change that was supposed to give the 1% even more money or something. It was white noise. The sound of a friendly voice talking without a hint of actual meaning. Morning, Ben. Eggs?
How are you so chipper? What's wrong with you?
Skepticism. A part of me got it, but my thoughts said nothing. Absolutely nothing's wrong, man. You like cheese, right? We had cheddar. Seemed to go just fine with the peppers.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben. He filled me in on our night. We'd been drinking because things were going, well, crappy between Steve and me. I thought he might have been cheating, the notion of which bloomed in my mind as a vine that turned into a straw and sucked up every ounce of alcohol I could find in my local watering hole. Ben had been my gardener for the night, trying and failing to keep the growth in line. In the end, it hadn't mattered. My vine strangled the life out of my relationship with Steve, but that morning, cooking eggs and listening to the crackle of a flaming world, nothing mattered.
You were screaming last night.
Ben said, tentatively wrapping strings of melted neon cheese around his fork.
You locked the bathroom door and you were screaming, "Don't come near me!" Or something. Any idea what that was about?
I hadn't any. I remembered drinking. I remember the taste of rice and something like potting soil, metal shavings, and vinegar. And then I remember waking up. Not a clue. But today seems better, right? He didn't answer, but I thought he did. And the next day after. But on day 3, my inexplicable bliss had faded. Now, faded is too gentle a word. My Zen cloud boy beach vacation mindset, the picture that seemed to have been painted on a mental storefront window in carefree Tahitian hues. Day 3 picked up a rock and with a toss, started the mind riot. Steve's gone. He's right to be gone. If he was cheating on me, it's because I'm bad, worthless. I'm just a burden to him, to everyone. Ben's gonna leave too. He's already distant. We don't talk like we used to. Probably just sees me as a roommate, not a real friend. He's already gone, just waiting for the right moment to leave. Without him, I'll have an empty room. Things will be too quiet. Just the sound of me, my thoughts, trying to drive what little happiness remains from myself. I'll probably leave me too. I'll lose me. When I try to find a new roommate, and they'll see it. They'll know how worthless I am, and I'll lose the apartment, my job. How long will my parents put up with me when I move back home? They're friends with my high school English teacher. Mr. Palmer said I had promise. He'll find out that I failed. He'll tell everyone else. My parents won't want a pariah in their house, in their lives. They'll leave me too. What then? What am I gonna do? No one to talk to? Will I forget the sound of my own voice? It'll be easier to ignore them. Like a shadow on the wall, slowly fading as everyone else's happiness lights the world around me and erases the ugly stain of my existence. I'll collapse in some corner somewhere, just like a pile of refuse. Alone, cold, hungry. Hungry. Sushi! Ah, crap. Everything had changed with the sushi. I had expelled a mental disorder into a toilet bowl, right? I talked to Ben. He told me which Exxon we had gone to. He also told me I was crazy, but I needed the bliss that an hour or two of agony had bought. I needed the buoyant exuberance of mental vacancy, the warmth of unbridled optimism. The Xanax would have been a bandage of mud to cover a festering wound. I needed a cure. Divine stitches wrapped in flaking nori. I needed it because what was rising around me wasn't just anxiety. It was memory. Don't come near me. I was beginning to remember what it was. Leave/Buckminster wasn't working when I returned. The cashier, Carl, looked perplexed when I asked the question. Hey, where is your sushi?
Sushi? This is an Exxon. Closest thing we have is cigarettes. I could cut one up for you. Wouldn't recommend eating it, though.
What? No, your sushi. I was in here a few nights ago. I bought some, or I guess got some. It was free, and Carl returned a look of wrinkled despondence typically reserved for sidewalk evangelists and public transit ranters. To him, I was crazy. Noted. I pivoted. I was super drunk. I saw the justification click.
Yep. Well, sorry, my guy. Maybe it was a food truck?
Yeah, maybe. He smiled, and my brain went for a walk in the briar patch as I began to meander the tiny store in silence. Carl can only stand the lie. Fake you. How long can you fake it, though? Be honest. The real you is an obstacle. It's a rotting, tire-flattened raccoon in the street tempting a glance, but only in a wary revulsion. Don't come near me! I realized that I was winded, faint, face flushed, and feeling sweaty. How could such a small Exxon market hide something so vital? A fridge, one tall shelving unit in the center, jumper cables and candy and plastic funnels and travel Benadryl. I circled it, looking high and low as the expression of disgusted misunderstanding began to clamp itself back around Carl's face. Where would you even put sushi here? Where would it go? Where? There. I stopped and saw something resting on the ground, peeking out from the bottom of the shelf, dirty, dusty, cobwebby. Sushi Co. Hap. I felt a whisper of bliss pop in my mind and trickle down my back in the shivery tingle like some consciousness-destroying ruptured aneurysm. I knelt to reach out, but just as I did, the package slipped away under the shelf. A deft little cockroach of a thing, retreating, fleeing, crinkling, "Don't come near me," in a plasticky hiss. "No!" I shouted, loud enough that my eyes instinctively shot over to the judgmental Carl and his mock sushi nicotine poisoning schemes. Earbuds. He was wearing earbuds, catatonically engrossed in his own little dopamine fix that was some video. At least I had that momentary karmic kindness. When my blindly groping hand found nothing beneath the shelf but a dusty worn and a lump of something greasy, I slipped around the other side to the next aisle. The sight of legs caught me by surprise as I scrambled across the dingy floor. Worn black brogues and slim gray trousered legs climbing toward a man in a suit holding my sushi. He was trim apart from a pudgy, round face that seemed out of place atop his long, wool-flanneled frame. The thought that he hadn't been there mere moments ago, and that his entrance hadn't rung the bing-bonging electric doorbell, and that he smiled as serenely as a golden alpine Buddha, all of that paled in comparison to the need to possess the treacherous plastic package and its heavenly contents. The man didn't move, didn't acknowledge me. He just stood, smiling through squinty eyes punched into skin like shallow molding clay. And he was whispering something again and again. "Hey, buddy, that's my sushi," I half shouted. "Hey, I saw it first. I had dibs, you baldy lollipop-looking creep. Give me the sushi or I'll..." I began to pick out some of his words through the sound of my own hammering pulse.
Malcolm. Oh no, I used to.
Hey, hello? Give me the sushi or I'll sock you. It was only as I felt the desperate rage building, the itchy precursor to a dozen different violent acts that played through my mind, that I actually listened to what he was saying.
I used to have a beautiful family. Alice, Malcolm, little Fiona, don't come near me. Don't come near. I used to have a beautiful family.
His hands were shaking. The whispers crept from the pinhole parting of his lips like some tensing, giddy whistle. He was repulsive, unworthy of the treasure he held. He was weak and I was hungry. He's just a flat raccoon, I thought. He's nothing. You need it more. When I snatched it, he started weeping, tears pouring from the puckered eye holes of his doughy face. But he didn't grab at me. He didn't fight like I would have. As I tore off the top of the package and gorged on the tumorous lumps of rice and slippery gray meat, chewing ginger grit and licking an acrid smear of wasabi, as I entered my jittery longing, he just sobbed.
The first is always free.
He sputtered as my mind drilled into the sound of my tongue on textured black plastic. I heard him, but as I roused from my bout of gluttony, one fleeting thought came to the fore. Had he said, "Don't come near me"? Wait, he? Who? I was alone in the aisle, crumpled happy chase roll plastic staring up at me from the ground. Whoa. I didn't feel quite right. Allergies, maybe? I found myself flickering a watering tongue around my mouth, trying to dislodge a flavor like peaty scotch and chewed aspirin in cold sores. Next, I was running, fumbling with the key in my front door, clutching my stomach as invisible daggers pinned my navel to my backbone. I was in the bathroom again, Ben pounding on the door, shouting something. I was heaving my entire being into the toilet with such force that I wondered if one might be able to turn themselves inside out through the mouth. I was gripping the bath mat. I was staring at the shower curtain, at movement, at a face. I was screaming, shaking, listening to a voice rasping hot breath into my ear.
First is always free. The rest will cost you.
I was crying, sobbing snotty, desperate tears. Don't come near me! Don't come near me! Don't! I was tired, exhausted, and then awake. Happy.
It was worse this time.
Ben said over a table of cheesy eggs and cut fruit. I don't know what you mean. I feel great, Ben. He didn't look convinced, but it was the truth. He was entitled to his worries. It was fine.
I was talking to Steve last night about this sushi thing. Don't be mad. I'm trying to not have you die in the bathroom.
Mad? Ben, I'm fan-friggin-tastic. Honestly, you're worrying over nothing.
Dude, Steve agrees with me. You don't know what's in that sushi. Some hallucinogenic, maybe. I don't know. But you looked like death yesterday. The screams and the crying and...
Ben, stop. I'm fine. I'm fan-friggin...
Fantastic. Whatever. Look, there was... something else.
Ben was being so dramatic. I remember going to the Exxon, getting sushi from a quirky cashier named Carl, and eating it. It was an acquired taste, sure, but hardly dangerous. Something else? Very suspenseful, Ben. Twiddled my fingers at him and he swatted them away.
Okay, this seems crazy, but I think I heard another voice in the bathroom with you. Someone whispering. And when I tried to open the door, it felt like someone was holding it shut. Like the doorknob turned and there was some give, but something pushed back.
Benjamin. So serious. What an absolute goofball.
Hey, I just don't want you to die, okay? Will you listen to me? Please!
Maybe there wasn't enough cheese in Ben's eggs. I made a mental note. More cheese next time.
Steve doesn't want you to die either. I'm sorry about... I've gotta tell you that... Look, we just want you to be okay.
Ben. I lost my anxiety, and somebody found it. Nothing a little sushi couldn't fix.
Please.
Was he crying? I smiled back at him. Please. Always so polite when it came to eggs. Of course he could have some more. I wasn't particularly hungry anyway. I felt full. Of nothing. It's weird how that works sometimes. The following day was positively effervescent. I hummed tunes. I watched a bird for an hour at some point. I sighed easy sighs. But day 3 came with depression, a panic attack, and a package at the door. Ben was at a cafe doing work. I had called in sick, and I only dragged myself across the floor to stop the insistent pounding of the postman. The package, strangely enough, cut through the sea of intermittent flailing and submersion for a bit. The label was simple. To Toma, me, from Sushi Connection. No postage, no address, no answers to a dozen questions that immediately tangled in my mind. I opened it, curiosity straining to overcome my trepidation. The contents didn't make sense right away. 5 plastic bags, fillet knife, annotated human anatomical diagram. Liver, gallbladder, right thigh quadriceps, left shoulder deltoid, descending aorta. Maybe I just didn't want it to make sense. The implication was clear enough. A knife and 1 bag for each circled body part. Liver, aorta. This physiological necessity of those parts wasn't lost on me. The package was a request. Maybe a demand. I tried to avoid thoughts of the transaction. The one that might let me rent happiness. But as I tried to muddy the trajectory, my mind wandered, plumbing the depths of mental decline. I was bad on the second, day 3. I had spiraled down seemingly all the myriad pits of dread possibilities. They grew deeper with each descent, more abstract and terrifying. It was worse this time. I remembered Ben saying that. Did he know what would happen ahead of time? Was he a part of it? He didn't stop me from going back. Steve didn't stop me. No one did. The man in the Exxon market, I remembered him too. He seemed so happy to let me have the sushi. He put on a show with his tears and then he vanished. But why? Probably to collude with Ben and Steve and the thing in the bathroom. I remembered it too in broad strokes. Wet, bony fingers caressing my back, pinching at my sweat-soaked shirt, reveling in my agony. They were all in on it together. Steve and Ben and the off-brand Exxon Slenderman and the thing. All of them, waiting for me to become as monstrous as them. They want me to say it. Don't come near me. And then they'll leave me and feel righteous for it. It'll be my fault. They'll blame me for being afraid of them, but terrified of being alone. They'll say I deserve it for pushing them away to save myself. And they won't come back. Not even the monster in the bathroom. They'll all abandon me. I looked at the package, the label, Sushi Connection. The sushi transcended all that bullcrap. It wouldn't leave. It came in plastic captivity, an offering. My offering. It took away all the doubt and the fear. A joy factory that only asked for one simple thing. Connection. It wanted me to become a part of something. To contribute something. It feeds to feed, like a mother eating one child to make milk for another. I looked at the words on the label and they sang a symphony of possibility to me. Each syllable was awash with a promise of levity. Eat the roll. Chase the happy. Liver, gallbladder, thigh, shoulder, aorta. Recipe for connection. I hugged the knife to my chest, felt the plastic of the bags between my fingers. 5 bags. I'd find a way to contribute, a way to connect with something happy. That was then. Day 3, round 2. A hard day followed by a goal that gave me purpose. Now I'm anxiety-free again. But I have a secret that consumes me. Something I want to tell so badly that it scratches around inside of me like a caged rat. It's a hard secret. The kind of secret that I know in the pit of my stomach will change everything. It'll hurt someone I care about. Steve sits with me in my living room, clutching a mug of lukewarm coffee. I sit beside him, a squishy cushion like a whispering man's face between us.
So, you're okay?
He asks, smile peeking through a pair of puppy dog eyes. I love those eyes. Not long ago, I'd seen them filled with tears. Not anymore. Yeah, I'm I'm fine. I smile, knowing that relief is a confession away, and in a pinch, relief feels just like diet happiness.
So, Ben said he'd be back today. Do you know when?
So much anticipation in his words. I lie. Soon. The secret nags at me, wanting to be free, but I know that the more it builds and wriggles through my head, the greater the relief will be. Ben's not coming back soon. Ben's not coming back at all. It should be a sad thing for me, a piece of my recent history that sits inside my guts like a lump of lead. But it's not. Yes, I killed Ben, my roommate, my friend, and the act, at the time, was devastating. I'm a monster, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Mea culpa. But that's not the secret. Steve, I love Ben to death. You know that, right? Another lie, but he nods appreciatively, a moony smile crawling across his face. I remember when that smile meant everything to me. Before everything turned into some hellish sitcom.
I do, Toma. You're a good friend. Better than anyone deserves, probably.
I sigh as the tension builds in me. I made a few texts from Ben's phone after the deed. It seemed like something a murderer would do, like a TV plotline that a grim-faced detective might find onerous. I had seen Ben enter his passcode dozens of times since face masks made it practically a necessity in public. I remembered the pattern, but never thought much about the numbers. 0528. A line, up then down again. Simple passcode. But also 0528. May the 28th. I had killed him before I even realized. Steve's birthday. When I found out, Steve, I was actually kinda relieved. Lie. And let's be honest, what we were was never going to be sustainable. Lie. Okay, maybe true, actually. You and Ben are together, and I'm okay with that. Do I never get tired of saying that? It's a gut punch, yes, and I do feel that, but more than anything, I feel relief. He sees the genuine Christmas morning you don't have cancer elation on my face. I see the warmth of gratitude soften his. And then his eyes fix on something.
Toma, what's that?
He points to a plastic container on the floor. Sushi connection. I smile back. It's an inside joke between Ben and I. Poor taste, but you know. Guilty Ben roll. I laugh as Ben's guilt begins to creep back into my mind again. The affair was a burden for him. I could feel that the moment I awoke on my bathroom floor after eating a small package of sushi that arrived at my doorstep. I had contributed to the connection, and they returned a taste of Ben's emotional complexity. It just wasn't exactly what I expected. I thought the sushi created happiness, but it seems that someone named Chase did. I look into Steve's eyes. I smile, feeling only the fear of hurting myself with another person's secret. I let it build. Steve's lip quivers.
I thought this would destroy you, Toma. I really did. And I didn't mean for it to happen. Neither of us did. It just happened.
The us stings almost imperceptibly as it rolls into my borrowed guilt.
And you're so understanding and, well, sweet about it. But after the text that night, and the phone call, and then that weird sushi...
Steve, I know. It's okay. I'm okay.
I feel like I could cry, Toma.
Don't. Come near me. I put up my arms for a hug, and he falls into it. I pat his back, conciliation in an uncomfortably platonic gesture. It feels weird coming from me, but I use that emotional confusion to grab onto something that feels like the honesty of a revealed secret. I'm glad it was him. He's a good guy, and if it was anyone, I'm glad it was him. I just want you to be happy. Truly. Steve pulls away and takes measure of my expression. And then he beams.
You have no idea how happy that makes me.
But I do. Blank Steve roll. Just happy enough to fill a blank space in my mind with something fan-friggin-tastic. When you're happy, Steve, I'm happy too. We share a smile, a fleeting connection, a happy little lie.